God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home. Fear is a stranger here. I am at home. Fear is a stranger here. I am at home. Fear is a stranger here. I am at home. Fear is a stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for lesson 175 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the original edition here on Saturday, if you're listening to this in 2023, June the 24th. God is but love, and therefore so am I. And it's a review of lesson 159 and 160, 159 being, I give the miracles I have received. I give the miracles I have received. So, that is the proof of receiving, is that you've been able to give. The world he talks about how there's similarities between the things of this world and the things of heaven. And in order to give something, you have to first have it. But the world says you got to keep it in order to have it. And the kingdom of heaven says, if it's worth having, then it's worth giving. You better make sure you keep giving it, because that's what's going to fill your joy complete. I give the miracles, or the thoughts of God, the love. I give the miracles I have received. All that in the overview idea of God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so is his creation. So are his thoughts, which are you and me. God is but love, and therefore so am I. And lesson 160, I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. Let's get this straight, that we're the ones that are at home. Fear's not to take us over. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Let me just go read to you some of the highlights that I marked when we went through the lesson originally, and in 159 and 160. And I'm not going to tell you where I'm reading these. I'm just going to read through them. I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. I'm starting off in paragraph 1, though. Fear is a stranger to the ways of love. Identify with fear, and you will be a stranger to yourself, and thus you are unknown to you. What is yourself remains an alien to the part of you which thinks that it is real but different from yourself. Who could be sane in such a circumstance? Who but a madman could believe that he is what he is not? Who but a madman could believe he is what he is not, and judge against himself? Is it fear that love completes and is completed by? There is no home can shelter love and fear. They cannot coexist. If you are real, then fear must be illusion. And if fear is real, then you do not exist at all. Well, since you exist, then fear must not be real, huh? How simply, then, the question is resolved. Who fears has but denied himself and said, I am a stranger here. And so I leave my home to one more like me than myself, and give him all I thought belonged to me. Now is he exiled of necessity, not knowing who he is, uncertain of all things but this, that he is not himself, and that his home has been denied to him. Certain of what's not even to be certain of. I call that solemn laughter. That's something to laugh about. And let me say it again. Now is he exiled of necessity, not knowing who he is, uncertain of all things but this, that he is not himself, and that his home has been denied to him. His way is lost, except a miracle will search him out and show him that he is no stranger now. And the miracle will come, for in his home his self remains. Yet is yourself as certain of its own as God is of his Son. He cannot be confused about creation. He is sure of what belongs to him. No stranger can be interposed between his knowledge and his Son's reality. He does not know of strangers. He is certain of his Son. That's the way God thinks about you. And remember, God is but love, and therefore so are you. And so that's how you think about you. Whom God has joined remains forever one, at home in him, no stranger to himself. Today we offer thanks that Christ has come to search the world for what belongs to him. His vision sees no strangers, but beholds his own joyous, his vision, Christ's vision, sees no strangers, but beholds his own, and joyously unites with them. He has not forgotten you, but you will not remember him until you look on all as he does. Okay, you won't remember him until you look on all as he does. Who denies his brother is denying God, and thus refusing to accept the gift of sight by which his self is clearly recognized, his home remembered, and salvation come. So that's all under I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. And I meant to do that one second. 159 is our first lesson. Let's do it now. I give the miracles I have received. Starting in paragraph 2. You understand, and you might go back and read the whole lesson, but I'm just kind of hitting some highlights to kind of get our memory back onto what is I give the miracles I have received. I give the love I have received. I give the thoughts of God I have received. You understand that you are healed when you give healing. You accept forgiveness as accomplished in yourself when you forgive. You recognize your brother as yourself, and thus do you perceive that you are whole. There is no miracle you cannot give, for all are given you. Receive them now by opening the storehouse of your mind, where they are laid, and giving them away. There's where the miracles are at, are in your mind. Have that open mind so you can find them. Christ's vision is what we're looking for. Christ's vision is the miracle in which all miracles are born. It is their source remaining with each miracle you give and yet remaining yours. It is the bond by which the giver and receiver are united in extension here on earth as they are one in heaven. Christ beholds no sin in anyone. That's the vision we want. Christ beholds no sin in anyone, and in his sight the sinless are as one. Their holiness was given by his Father and himself. Christ's vision is the bridge between the worlds. Hey, Christ's vision is the bridge between the worlds. And in its power can you safely trust to carry you from this world into one made holy by forgiveness. This is the Holy Spirit's single gift, the treasure house to which you can appeal with perfect certainty for everything that can contribute to your happiness. Christ's vision is the holy ground in which the lilies of forgiveness set their roots. Christ has dreamed the dream of a forgiven world. It is his gift whereby a sweet transition can be made from death to life, from hopelessness to hope. Let us an instant dream with him. His dream awakens us to truth. His vision gives the means for a return to our unlost and everlasting sanctity in God. Okay, where'd it go? Got a tick on me there. Okay, I get plenty of them out here. Okay, let's take a look now at what on earth is going on today before we go. And let's so you can turn to your text reading. We are ready in chapter 18. We're going to pick up in paragraph 55. We left off in paragraph ready for 57. And that's in chapter 18, The Dream and the Reality. Section 7, Dreams and the Body. And while you're turning there, I'll tell you what all is going on the earth, or some things, according to holidaysandobservances.com. Bartender and Mixology Day. Celebration of Senses Day. And might add, you might consider the multiple dimension sensory perception, you know, all those dimensions that you live beyond the five senses. And some people just call it the sixth sense, but the sixth sense is made up of many dimensions, many senses. Global Smurfs Day, Great American Backyard Camp Out. Sounds fun, doesn't it? Go camp out in your backyard. Have a picnic, Great American Picnic Day. If you don't want to camp out, at least go outside. International Fairy Day, you might see a fairy. International Ragweed Day. I'm sitting beside a giant ragweed today, and we're going to talk a little bit about ragweed in just a moment. National Celebrate Your Marriage Day. Celebrate your holy relationship day, your special relationship, your marriage, your partner, your significant other, and have that blend over into the holy relationship. But celebrate it today. Museum Comes to Life Day. National Haskap Berry Day. A Haskap berry. I'll talk about the Haskap in just a minute. National Pralines Day. Polar Bear Swim in Nome, Alaska. Cold water. Ready for a swim. About as warm as it's going to get, but it's polar bear swimming. Swim a lap day. If you're not going to be up in Nome, Alaska, well, at least swim a lap day. And Saint Baptiste Day, which is in the French-Canadian areas like Quebec, and it's a celebration of John the Baptist. And I said we were going to talk about the Haskap berry. Haskap, edible blue honeysuckle, native to northern hemisphere, including Canada, Japan, and Russia, loves the cold. It means it's the berry of long life and good vision. 3 times as many antioxidants as blueberries, 4 times more anthocyanins than blueberries, and high in vitamin C. They're not as sweet as blueberry. They're a little sour, as I understand. I'd never heard about one. They're surely I wrote down. Yeah, Lonicera carolia. I'll put the name in the description below. But that's your Haskap berry. They're kind of a long, narrow berry, about the size of blueberry, but longer, and you know, they're oblong. And they're a twin berry, as what I understand. Anyway, they're highly nutrient rich. I think you can get them at health food stores already dried and ground, ready to eat. Okay, ragweed. I said I want to tell you a little bit about ragweed. Ambrosia antimicifolia, and that's the giant ragweed. The giant ragweed is the Ambrosia trifida, or trifida. The regular ragweed is Ambrosia artemisifolia. And but of the giant ragweed, since I've got one right here in my back, out by my garden, let me just tell you about giant ragweed, the Ambrosia trifida. Preparations made from leaves and roots have been used by native peoples as astringents, skin disinfectants, emetics, antidotes, and fever reducers. Teas and tinctures have been used for the treatment of fevers, pneumonia, nausea, intestinal cramps, diarrhea, and menstrual disorders. And I found a really good article about it on bellarmine.edu. And we might talk a little bit more about it, because there's quite a few other things that it was used for. Of course, you know, it's notorious because it causes a lot of people allergic reactions, hay fever, whatnot. Okay, what else did I want to tell you? Oh, I want to tell you about June-bearing strawberries. The Honeye, and that one yesterday we did was the jewel was also a June-bearing. Honeye consistently bears heavy yields of large, beautiful crimson fruit. Rich color carries over into jam and wine, disease-resistant and easy to grow, self-pollinating, zones 3 through 8. And that's your Honeye. and it's a Fragaria ananassa, and I read to you that out of Gurney's. There's also a good article about it on the urbanfarmers.com. So if you're someone who wants to understand more about strawberries, there's a little bit. What else do we want to talk about now? Let's get back to our text reading now, as we keep in mind our idea for today. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home, fear is a stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I. And don't just repeat it like a parrot would be repeating it. Try to take the words and go below them, but beyond them, to the thought that supports them. Okay, starting in paragraph 55 of chapter 18. This is the host of God that you have made, and neither God nor his most holy Son can enter an abode which harbors hate, and where you have sown the seeds of vengeance, violence, and death. This thing you made to serve your guilt stands between you and other minds. The minds are joined, but you do not identify with them, because if you're not seeing the innocent perception of the real world. You see yourself locked in a separate prison, removed and unreachable, incapable of reaching out as being reached. You hate this prison you have made and would destroy it, but you would not escape from it, leaving it unharmed without your guilt upon it. 56. Yet only thus can you escape. The home of vengeance is not yours. The place you set aside to house your hate is not a prison, but an illusion of yourself. The body is a limit imposed on the universal communication, which is an eternal property of mind. I just love that sentence. Let's read it again. The body is a limit imposed on the universal communication, which is an eternal property of mind. We hear of a lot of these near-death experiences, how people just know. They don't have to use words and talk. They can, but they don't have to. Well, that's the universal communication, which is an eternal property of mind. Get the body out of the way and you start remembering it. That's one thing good about death, huh? But we don't have to die to get it, though. That's what he tries to get us to see, is that death is really nothing. But the communication is internal, okay? This universal communication, which is an eternal property of mind, is internal. It is not made of different parts which reach each other. Mind reaches to itself. It does not go out. Within itself it has no limits, and there is nothing outside it. It encompasses everything. It encompasses you entirely. You within it and it within you. There is nothing else anywhere or ever. 57. The body is outside you, but seems to surround you, shutting you off from others and keeping you apart from them and them from you. It is not there. There is no barrier between God and his Son, nor can his Son be separated from himself except in illusions. This is not his reality, though he believes it is. Yet this could only be if God were wrong. God would have had to create differently and to have separated himself from his Son to make this possible. Of course, talks about how that God didn't create the world that we see. He doesn't create death, and our world's based on it. And yet he says that life is what's real. He would have had to create different things and to establish different orders of reality, only some of which were love. Yet love must be forever like itself, changeless forever and forever without alternative. And so it is. You cannot put a barrier around yourself because God placed none between himself and you. And I might add that when you're looking at the world and saying, well, because it is an amazing world and beautiful things and wonderful, but it's the thought behind the physical expression or what you see with your eyes that's the reality of it. And there is a sense that, that we know it's governed by the unseen hand. And so everything really is a product of God. But don't get too caught up in thinking God made the world the way you're seeing it. You're seeing an illusion. But we want to see reality, where only love is, where no death exists. You can stretch out your hand and reach to heaven. You whose hands are joined have begun to reach beyond the body, but not outside yourselves, to reach your shared identity together. Could this be outside you, where God is not? Is he a body, and did he create you as he is not and where he cannot be? You are surrounded only by him. What limit can there be on you whom he encompasses? Everyone has experienced what he would call a sense of being transported beyond himself. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom sometimes experienced in special relationships. It is a sense of actual escape from limitations. If you will consider what this transportation really entails, you will realize that it is a sudden unawareness of the body and a joining of yourself and something else in which your mind enlarges to encompass it. It becomes part of you as you unite with it, and both become whole as neither is perceived as separate. What really happens is that you have given up the illusion of a limited awareness and lost your fear of union. The love that instantly replaces it extends to what has freed you and unites with it. And while this lasts, you are not uncertain of your identity and would not limit it. You have escaped from fear to peace, asking no questions of reality, but merely accepting it. You have accepted this instead of the body and have let yourself be one with something beyond it simply by not letting your mind be limited by it. So this transportation of this feeling of liberation that we all experienced, I've had them in my dreams. Maybe that's where you've had them. This can occur, okay, so let's go back. You have accepted this instead of the body and have let yourself be one with something beyond it, simply by not letting your mind be limited by it. This can occur regardless of the physical distance which seems to be between you and what you join, of your respective positions in space, and of your differences in size and seeming quality. Time is not relevant. It can occur with something past, present, or anticipated. The something can be anything and anywhere, a sound, a sight, a thought, a memory, and even a general idea without specific reference. Yet in every case you joined it without reservation because you love it and would be with it. And so you rush to meet it, letting your limits melt away, suspending all the laws your body obeys and gently setting them aside. There is no violence at all in this escape. The body is not attacked, but simply properly perceived. It does not limit you merely because you would not have it so. You are not really lifted out of it. It cannot contain you. You go where you would be, gaining, not losing, a sense of self. In these instances of release from physical restrictions, you experience much of what happens in the holy instant. The lifting of the barriers of time and space, the sudden experience of peace and joy, and above all, the lack of awareness of the body and of the questioning whether or not all this is possible. It is possible because you want it. No matter what you value. The sudden expansion of the self which takes place with your desire for it is the irresistible appeal the holy instant holds. It calls to you to be yourself within its safe embrace. There are the laws of limit lifted for you to welcome you to openness of mind and freedom. Come to this place of refuge where you can be yourself in peace, not through destruction, not through a breaking out, but merely by a quiet melting in. For peace will join you there simply because you have been willing to let go the limits you have placed upon love, and joined it where it is and where it led you in answer to its gentle call to be at peace. What a beautiful sentence. That's the last sentence of the paragraph and of the section. For peace will join you there simply because you have been willing to let go the limits you have placed upon love. Peace will join because you let go of the limits. You didn't think that you could love because you might be too vulnerable. But when you let go of that limit, then upon love, and let me read it again. For peace will join you there simply because you have been willing to let go the limits you have placed upon love and joined it where it is and where it led you in answer to its gentle call to be at peace. Okay, was there anything else that I wanted to tell you before we close? I think we're ready to close our, and thank you all so much for joining me and studying this wonderful idea. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Be sure to do your longer period in the morning of at least 5 minutes, and in the evening 15 or 30 would be great. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home, fear is a stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home, fear is the stranger here. I am at home, fear is the stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home, fear is a stranger here. I am at home, fear is a stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home, fear is the stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I. So from my ragweed patch, thank you for joining me in studying A Course in Miracles. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am at home, fear is the stranger here. God is but love, and therefore so am I.